Hey guys, what's up? I'm Ninja, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing strikes. So, strikes have kind of just existed in the game now for a while, without not a lot of reasons to play them and all kinds of other things. We've had a few updates here and there. You know, year one we had Nightfall exclusives added. Year two we had a few more Nightfall exclusives added. Then in year three, at the very end, we had Grandmasters with the title. And then finally this year, you know, we got total so far of 2 different seasons with 3 total strike rewards. And then 3 new Nightfall rewards. But they're not tied to any specific Nightfall, so they're a little bit different. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, we're on year 4 of Destiny 2. And like I said, strikes have kind of just existed. They've kind of been neglected. And I personally would like to see a change. So in this video, I'm going to discuss a crazy idea that I've had that not everyone will agree with, but I think some people will think it'll be cool. I don't know how, you know, realistic it is from a designer standpoint, from a developing, you know, standpoint, but I'm hopeful that maybe something like this is possible in the future. So let's go ahead and jump into this idea. So first things first, strikes. Are they necessary? Are they something that Destiny desperately needs? I mean, they've existed since the beginning of time, but are they really that cool? Are they worth, you know, sticking around? In my opinion, not really. I think there is basically a better version of strikes already in the game called dungeons. So here's my thing. Dungeons are basically just a little bit more challenging version of a strike, right? It's still 3 players, still fairly similar. You know, boss at the end. Dungeons have 2 bosses. I guess that would be the biggest difference. And then again, dungeons have, you know, required light level that makes them relatively harder. So here's my idea. I think that Bungie should stop making new strikes, personally. They don't make very many strikes, to be honest. You know, Shadowkeep, we got 2 strikes. This expansion we got 1 strike, and now we've gotten some returning Destiny 1 strikes. But clearly it takes a while to make a strike. So again, why bother when there's not a whole lot of reason for strikes in the game? You know, there's not a lot of stuff to get from them. Replayability, it's just not all that great. But dungeons, on the other hand, people love. Dungeons are amazing. And dungeons could even be better. I think every single dungeon should have its own armor set and several weapons unique to that specific dungeon. Probably around 3. So again, here's my idea. Stop making strikes. Focus harder on dungeons. First thing that you could do is add a dungeon playlist with matchmaking. You know, right now we have a total of 3 dungeons. Obviously, there's going to be more in the future. Most likely 1 next season or the following season. So, you know, there'd be 3 in the playlist. And again, you take the rewards and you magnify them. You make them better. And each dungeon has its own armor set and several weapons that you can chase. And then to even take this idea to a further level, it's kind of taking something that's already existed in Destiny and just amplifying it. But yeah, like I would take existing strikes and try to convert them into dungeons. Now again, this is the part where I don't know if it's possible or, you know, easy to do, but instead of constantly making like a brand new dungeon, because like I think realistically we can expect 2 dungeons a year from Destiny. I kind of expect that. We got 2 last year. I kind of expect 2 a year from now on. You know, we only get 1 right a year. I feel like dungeons are amazing and people really enjoy them, so 2 dungeons a year, I think, you know, is realistic. So I still think we should get 2 brand new dungeons a year, but the in-between seasons, Bungie could put, you know, a refurbished dungeon. I don't know what they'd call it, but you would take like a pre-existing strike and convert it to a dungeon. So, you know, we had a ton of strikes removed from the game when we had to make room for stuff. What if Bungie, you know, went back and took one of those strikes and redesigned it to be more like a dungeon? So, you know, the strikes exist, you know, in playable spaces. So they could move, they can make you go different places, you know, it's just anywhere on the planet in the public spaces, in the patrol zones. They could just make you go to different areas, and then when you get to a very specific area, throw down a boss, throw down some mechanics, you know, whatever. And then again, and then redo the final bosses so that they're more like dungeon bosses. So like obviously you have this open space, and most final bosses and strikes are fairly straightforward. So if you could just add a couple mechanics in there, I feel like again it would feel a lot like a dungeon, because realistically dungeons and strikes are kind of the same thing. Dungeons are just like the more advanced, more fleshed out version, the better version. So yeah, anyways, so that's my idea. I don't know if there's really too much more to talk about other than, you know, I just want to see Bungie really focus and double down on dungeons, because I think dungeons are so much better. If you look at other MMOs, you know, they have dungeons and raids as their end game, and it would just be nice to have, you know, not so many activities. We don't need so many different activities. We don't need a horde mode, strikes, dungeons, raids. Like, we don't need all these different activities. It would be better to condense them. And I feel like, again, like, it feels like Bungie's kind of done with strikes. Again, it just doesn't really seem like they have much passion for strikes these days. So I would rather them focus on the things that they do have passion for, like dungeons. So yeah, to sum up, playlist added to dungeons with matchmaking. You know, so you don't have to always have a fire team, because I feel like a lot of people miss out on dungeons because, you know, you have to have 2 other people with you, or you don't have to, but soloing them is very challenging. Yeah, add matchmaking and a playlist for the dungeons. Add better incentives, so each dungeon should have their own unique armor set. I feel like that is a necessary thing, and they all should also have 3 weapons that are unique to that dungeon, like to each dungeon. And then to take it a step forward, you could add triumphs and titles. There could be a title per dungeon, or there could be one title that has to do with all the dungeons, and it would be like a dungeon reference title, right? Where like you have to do so many total dungeons, and you have to maybe solo one of them or all of them. I don't know. Again, I'm just spitballing, but these are the kind of things that I just feel like would be good for a dungeon title. And then again, convert previous strikes, older strikes, into dungeons, because again, they're so similar. You could easily do it. It's not that crazy in my mind to convert a strike into a dungeon, because they're fairly similar. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, that is my idea. Now again, if you think it's cool, let me know. If you think it's a terrible idea, also let me know. It's just an idea that's crossed my mind several times over the last few years of Destiny. And I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like Grandmaster Nightfalls are not it. Maybe there's some people out there that think they're awesome and they're really fun, but I'm just not one of them. I got, you know, the Grandmaster Nightfall title the second it came out, Conqueror. And then since then, I've just never done a Grandmaster again, because they're just not fun. There's nothing fun about them. They're not challenging. They're just, you know, lock loadouts are awful. You know, force you to use specific weapons with the champs is also awful. That's a whole other topic I could talk about. So yeah, I just don't really see the appeal in Grandmaster Nightfalls at all. So in my opinion, I would be perfectly fine with them being deleted along with strikes to make room for a better system, which, like I said, would be something more along the lines of dungeon playlists and dungeons. But yeah, anyways, that is it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of my idea in the comments below. If you have anything to add to it or subtract, again, feel free. I'm all ears. I will do my best to reply to anybody. And hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you guys later. Peace.